kill any time.
Control the UK boxing, Frank.
Say again?
What does it feel like to control the UK boxing?
I don't know. You'd have to ask the boxing board to control that one. I don't know. It was a good night though, wasn't it? Good fights. Good. Well, most of the matches were were good matchmaking. Good fights and exciting.
What do you think of Derek there, Frank? You know,
What did I think?
Yeah, sum it up, that performance and what you thought of Wallin's performance.
It wasn't what I expected it to be. He actually, as soon as that first bell went, he jumped on Otto and closed him down, and he started finding a rhythm. And I thought early on in the fight he was controlling it a bit. I believe if he hadn't kept switching from orthodox to southpaw, if he'd stayed, I think, as orthodox, I think he may have stopped him, because he's moving one way all the time, going clockwise, and where he was switching and sometimes catching with the left, he was moving away from him. Whereas moving that way with the right hand, I think he would have. I do generally believe he would have stopped him, but it wasn't to be. And the last couple of rounds as well, when he came back into it a bit, Wallin, didn't he? He came back into it, and he gritted his teeth and again. And he was talking in there. He said there's a couple of moments in the fight where he didn't feel he had anything left, but he found it and done what he had to do. I thought when he knocked him down, that delayed action, that was a bit of a thing, and he got up, and I thought it was a bit fierce what the referee did in stopping the action, because he wasn't throwing punches back, and I think that may have let him off the hook. But anyway, that happened, and he showed, as he always does, Derek. He fights to the last 10 seconds, knocked him over again, and that was it. So it was an amazing performance from a 41-year-old guy who I've had my ups and downs with, and it's 18 years now. 18 years since he had his first fight. It was in February 2007, and it's been an amazing journey for him. And tonight, the fans, I mean, no matter what anyone's view is of Derek, the fans love him, and they loved him tonight, and they got behind him, and I think they showed a lot of appreciation for what he does, because every time he fights, he gets out of that ring and he has nothing left. He gives everything in the ring, and I think they know that and appreciate that.
What is a legitimate final fight for him? I know he held up the 3 posters and said he'll do whatever he wants, but...
what is a legitimate fight? He's just won the Eliminator for the IBF title. So, on a 50th fight, what do you want to do? Do you want to fight for a title? Or what? I don't know. Do you want to go where the money is? That's his choice. Look, boxing's a dangerous business for any fighter, especially when you get to his age. And it might upset him. I hope he doesn't, when he gets to 50 fights, say I want a 51st and 52nd, because I think, this stuff does catch up with you. There's no doubt about that. And I just wanted him to, he's achieved his dream of having 50 fights, and that's it. But what the fight's going to be at this stage, I couldn't tell you.
Frank, how surprising was that performance to you? I know when Dell's fight was initially getting announced, it wasn't for Otto Wallin, it was for Big Baby Miller, completely different style. And then all of a sudden you get this tall, rangy southpaw in who's only lost to Fury, Joshua. Was tonight a bit of a surprise with how it panned out?
No, not really. Because not for me, it wasn't. Because actually, I felt Otto would give him quite a few problems, and he negated a lot of that. Certainly early on in the fight. Derek will always have fights like this now because he's got older, and that's why he fights. He's got skills. When you look at him, the way he rolls in, he comes in low, he tucks himself up, and he doesn't get caught that much. He's obviously the amount of fights and the ages. If he doesn't know now, he's never going to know, is he? What he has to do. But I thought he done well, and as I say, you've got to remember where he's coming from and his age. It's just amazing. Boxing is not an old man's game. It is it's for younger fighters. but I've got to take my hat off to him. I told him a couple of years ago to retire, and said publicly he should retire.
Frank, when you saw the court and the doctor went to the ringside at one point, were you worried that the fight could potentially have been called off with that taken?
What, for the cut? Yeah. I mean, it's not. If it had been called off, it'd been called off. Nothing we could do about it. I mean, the corner done a good job on him. A couple of times, he's very smart, Otto. A couple of times in the fight, and the referee, he pulled him up on it once, but he was putting his glove on the inside of his glove and pulling him onto it and whatever, trying to make the cut worse. But he didn't have one cut, he had 3 cuts. He had one here, one under there and one above. So they were quite bad cuts.
Frank, just a word on Nathan Heaney, a shock loss tonight.
He looks, as the fight started off, he looked quite composed, and his jab was going well, but he just lost that composure and paid the price. The last 2 rounds of the fight, you felt that he was that much away at times from getting stopped, getting caught, and he eventually did.
Frank, what do you do with Zach Parker now? Obviously, Zach Parker. What do you do with him next? Obviously, the bully options are quite.
Well, he was hampered by that bad cut. I mean, he had a terrible cut. In fact, I was surprised the referee never stopped that. I mean, it's bleeding all the time, wasn't it? But it was what it was. He's got to see what his options are, and he's going to be out of the ring for a while waiting for that cut to heal, and then we'll see what's what. But that hampered him in a big way, that cut. And there's a couple of times in the fight again when he got it together, he hurt him, and did hurt him, but he wasn't able to follow up. And I think, when you've got a cut, and I said, first thing I said to him after the fight, you kept making it worse. When you're pouring at it like you're doing, it's basic stuff. If you're doing that, you're making the cut worse. You leave it alone. And you're pouring it, you're pulling it apart, and that's what he did. And he's done that quite a few times during the fight.
And on Masood Abdullah's performance today, what did you think of the fight?
Masood?
Yeah.
I thought it was a cracking little fight. I thought it was a very close fight. Could do that one again, couldn't you? And it was a very, very close fight, an enjoyable fight. Yeah, I thought he boxed well. I thought Rafferty done really well, man. It was a very, against an opponent who comes to fight, and I think that he boxed extremely well and eventually broke him down. He worked him out and broke him down, and I think he done it in good style.
Frank, we've got a 140 at the moment. We're on a good run. We had Azim, Smith, Chisora next week. Rafferty's there right in the middle. I know he's a step away, how do you see him progressing to that level? You've got Piers O'Leary in your same stable.
Yeah, I'd like to see. Liam Davis has moved up now. That's another good fight. And they're ticket sellers. I mean, what's happened with these guys tonight? I guarantee you, nobody thought this would be the amount of people here tonight. Nobody. And we promoted the backside off of it. We made some really good matches with good ticket selling fighters, and it was a tremendous atmosphere, and they all stayed right to the end. All of them were there to the end. And these youngsters that we've been really working with over the last few years, they're all building, nearly all of them have got a good following. So, in that particular division, the 140, we're blessed with some good talent there. I mean, Queensbury probably got the best stable of boxers and best young fighters in the world.